Okay, guys, so we're gonna go over our trades today. We're gonna go have a quick recap. So today was it was not a good day. Today was definitely similar to what's been going on in the market here these last few days, and it was very similar to my other trade that I took about a week ago, I believe, where it was a pretty huge loss. I mean, it just I had bought it flushed hard and I averaged down. I bought on the dip and it kept going lower. I bought some more and it kept going lower and I bought some more to where it halted going down. And just like the other time though, I mean I ended up selling at the very bottom and for it just to come all the way back up to where I got in originally and went past that. So there's a lot to learn for me on this today's trades, which is very important because that's really where how you improve. You're able to recognize the stuff that you did wrong so that you don't do it again. Although it is hard to keep that kind of discipline, but it can be done. It's just an exercise that you have to train your mind to do basically. So we'll look at what we traded today. Here's it's MICT, just one trade, actually one stock. Here we can see that it was at $3. I was, this thing is pretty impressive from 3 up to 984, and it pulled back. It showed kind of weakness here pre-market because it was below this VWAP level, this orange dotted line. So it was just pretty weak. So I really didn't expect nothing out of the gates. So I was kind of like, I'm not really gonna watch it. It was very similar to MBOT yesterday, which it resumed or it opened from the halt. It opened out of the gates and it just failed. It offered a little opportunity for a small gap and go, mini gap and go setup, but then it just failed and it failed the rest of the day. I think what got people off guard on this one was that it did not do that. Instead, let's see, this is the 1 minute chart. Instead, so we had the gap and go over 628 from 628 to 641. So that's a little, 10-cent setup right there, which is not really much. But here we kind of expected it to fail, but it did not. It popped up. It hit a high of 698. It halted going up. So this is the first 30 minutes. Actually, this is the first 15 minutes of the market open. Uh, Usually these are the times whenever stocks are really hot, but lately it hasn't been the case. Lately it's been the opposite. It's been slower on the first half, the first 30 minutes. And then after that is whenever we actually start getting the clean action. This is like the pretty choppy action the first half of the morning, and then after the first 30 minutes is whenever it kind of starts, the action gets clean and more predictable. So that's just something to keep be aware of basically. So this is the way that I traded this. I was like, okay, well, so it moved from 630 up to 698. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, if people were shorting it here, it definitely caught them off guard, and they should stop out on the resumption of this stock over 698. So I had my order at 720, 715 to jump in as soon as the market opened. As soon as this stock resumed from the halt. Uh, it resumed, it popped up real quick, and it came down to the whole dollar. There was bid support, a pretty big bid order, around 20,000 shares. I jumped in there. I threw an order to buy some shares. I got filled at 701. It immediately flushed down to 660. I mean, in a matter of that bid got taken out, and it dropped down 40 cents. So that's very hard to manage. You cannot keep a small tight stop on that. I mean, it broke that level and it came down to 660. I was like, okay, well, that's a pretty strong drop. It's definitely going to bounce here. I'm going to add here for a pop up, and that's not the case. So if I would have added there, my average would have been around 680, and basically just had to get to 680 to be break even, and then you maybe even go higher, but definitely stop break even. But the way I've been trading, I don't stop. stopped out, break even. I just continue to hold, and the stock it fails. So in this case, it I added at 660. I believe I added like two times here at 660, 662. So my average was around 671. You know, just 10 cents away from it, and I could have. It did come up to around 665. So I was down just 10 cents. I could have been like, you know what, I'm just gonna get out. This is not working. I'm just gonna keep my losses small. But no, I held, and it broke the whole dollar, the half dollar, so 650, came down to 637. It halted going down. So on this halt, I was like, okay, well, this is pretty extended. It's definitely gonna bounce back up. After the halt resumption, it resumed at 630. I added at the top, well, kind of dipped a little bit, and I added here at 630. I was like, okay, well, 633, this is definitely going to break this high or this resumption level of 637. Definitely going to squeeze up. So my average now is around 660, and after this add here, and no, it broke that 630, broke the 625 psychological levels, and it came down to 610, and I was like, ah, dang it. So I ended up stopping out around 620. So from 660 down to 620, 40-cent loss on a pretty big amount of shares, the most that I have traded in a while. So this was a pretty big hit for me. 40 cents on pretty big share size. I was like, oh my goodness. And I did not want to sell because I just knew that this was going to come back up based off of the other stocks that had done similar action to this. Pretty much the stock that I traded the week before did the exact same thing, and I traded the exact same way and had the exact same results. Big loss. And then we had this curl back up, made it move higher, and that's very, very frustrating. Some it'll trigger you basically. You'll be frustrated with the market, with the way you're trading, and then you're like, you know what, screw it, I'm going all in. So fortunately for me, I ran out of buying power, and I could not go huge on share size, or else it could have been worse. Could have been 3-4 times worse, which is why I'm just trading on buying power. I'm not trading on margin until I can basically be mentally trained to where I can control myself. So I knew that this was going to come back up, or I had a strong conviction that it was going to come back up. So I was watching this. When this candle's high was 635, I was like, well, okay, if we get this break, we're definitely going to see 650. So 635, we had this candle, little pullback here. I jumped in there at 630. Small share size because I didn't have much more to buy, buying power. Jumped in at 630, sold up here at 645. Nice 15-cent break, which is easy. I mean, quick. I mean, that's all I want. Those small moves. But unfortunately, I got flushed down on this one. It was a nasty move. But anyways, nice little 15-cent winner there. I was like, okay, well, that's just kind of what I need to focus on. Now I decided to take another trade here. This candle went up to 693. I jumped in here for a little pullback. Jumped in around 90 for a break of 7. I jumped in at 90. It broke 7, hit a high of 705. I did not sell. I ended up selling around 695 for like a 5-cent profit there. I did not sell because I was just being greedy. I wanted the bigger move, and it didn't happen. And then on this next candle here, I jumped in again for the break of 7. Jumped in around 693, 695. It hit a high of 710, so up 15 cents from or almost 20 cents from my entry. I did not take profit up here. I just let it. I was waiting for that bigger move, and it just came down to the whole dollar. I could not get any orders filled on the ask. I couldn't sell any orders on the ask. I was break even, and then it came down to basically 685, and that's where I sold the rest. So the small loss on that trade, unfortunately. And let's see, I believe that was it. on these kind of on this stock. Yeah, and so pretty disappointed. So basically on this one, my average was 661. So 661 was right there. 663, pretty close. And so you can see here that it came up, it broke it, and it continued to go higher. I mean, it hit a high of, you know, 845 from 661 up to 845. With 1,000 shares, that could have been, of course, I wouldn't have held the whole position, but definitely would have been a green trade, a winning trade. So now I'm kind of back to where I was at the beginning of the month. I'm back to basically digging myself out of the hole, which is fine. It's okay. I'm trading with a share size that I can easily recover. I mean, it's going to take some time, but it's doable. The way I've been trading, pretty consistent. I just have to be careful with these days. These days can be pretty nasty, and there's really nothing that I can do to prevent it. I mean, it's just one of those trades that just gets away from you before. I mean, you can't really do anything about it. One thing that I am going to adjust on the way I'm trading is I'm not going to add anymore to my positions. I'm just going to, once I'm down, I'm just going to call it and be like, you know what? I'm not going to
It's
average.
not easy to borrow.
I'm
It
not
has
going to
short.
average. I'm not going to average down. I'm just going to stop out of my position, and if it's a loss, it's a loss. So that could have easily been avoided. It could have been maybe at most a $200 loss if I would have had a whole dollar per share drop. But I wasn't gonna let it happen. I mean, I was gonna get out of it before that once I just saw straight up weakness. So maybe $50 $100 loss. You know, on 200 shares, 50-cent drop is $100, so that was pretty extreme. I could have stopped out immediately, but or maybe just average down one time, just add one time to my position, and if that doesn't work, just stop out. But definitely not more than one time. I will not add to a losing position because that usually just increases the loss. So today my loss is multiplied by I don't know, I would say by 6 times by adding so much. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys if you're still watching, I'm going to show you the way, how much it had dropped, how much uh, my entry, where it had dropped and how much it had dropped. So it was pretty much hard and this was in a matter of like a minute. It's not like I had, a lot of time to think about it. I'm going to run it in full time, and then I'm going to slow it down so you guys can see how the trade went down. Okay, so here we can see that this stock MICT was coming up 67. It's this one, top right corner, 677, 678. So here we're like, okay, well this might halt going up, and I would say that was a pretty strong halt going up. I mean, it came up to the halt level, it pinned at that level, and it was a strong halt going up. So here it's about to halt once it stops. Okay, so now it halted at 698 going up. So that was a pretty impressive move there. And at the same time, this one halted right before. So I was watching this. This on the resumption, it opened like 20 cents higher. So I was like, okay, well, these stocks are halting, going up. They're pretty strong. So we'll just, there's a good chance that this one might do the same. So I was watching it, and it's halted for 5 minutes. So I'll speed it up. The resumption is at okay. So resumption is at 4:04 on this one. So whenever this clock hits 44:04 around that time, this is whenever it's going to resume. It resumes. Here we'll watch it real time. Halted at 698 going up. It resumes. I see a bid. I jumped in there 7. Boom, I'm down 50 cents. I add on this dip, add some more, and it just breaks that support level of 50, comes down and it halts. 637, halts and going down on a strong halt going down. So you see how fast that happened? I mean, that happened in a matter of 20 seconds. I mean, that was literally 20, 25 seconds. So that, it ends up halting going down. So we'll run it. Now we'll run it again, but I'll do it in slow motion. In slow motion, it's kind of obvious. It's like, why didn't you sell for a tiny loss instead of holding it? But of course, it's very hard to see it real time. So here we'll see. I'll tell you why I got in where I got in. Okay, so it resumed. I saw a big bid there at 7. I'm like, okay, I jump in. Boom, I jumped in with the buy button at 7:15. I ended up getting filled at 7:01. 225 shares at 7:01. Okay, so here we see bid support. Boom, this is bid support. We have a buyer at $7, 8,500 share buyer. He's getting taken out, and immediately he gets taken out, and it comes down to 666. You're down 35 cents on the bid, down 50 cents on the bid. So that's whenever I added on that little flush. Okay, so now my average is 680 with 425 shares. So 680, I need to get back up to 680 so I'm break even. Okay, up there, I'm 669, getting closer. I add to my position. Now it's 674. 674 is my average at 625 shares. So I just need this to come up to 674 and I'm break even on the trade. 664 on the ask, 674 my average. So down only 10 cents with 625 shares. That's only 62 bucks. 62 bucks, down. If I would sell on the bid, I'm down, 13 cents. So that's still under $80 loss, $70 loss. Okay. Doesn't hold, I add to my position. I add more. So now 660 is my average. Actually, 671 is my average. 660 is the ask. So I'm only down 11 cents. 825 shares. That's only 82 bucks about. You see how, okay, so here it comes to support, 650. Boom, it breaks that support level down to 643. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I see the halt level down here. So there's a good chance it's going to halt. It ends up coming down, it pins it at 637. So here, even if I try to sell, I cannot sell. So I was like, well, I'm already in it. I'm down 40 cents from my entry, 30 cents from my entry. We'll see what it does. And it ends up halting right there. We'll speed it up. It resumes at 44.34, 5 minutes from the halt time. 44.11. So at 44.34, it resumes from the halt. 671 is my average, halted at 637 going down. So on this, what I'm kind of hoping for is since it's super extended on the chart to the downside, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is definitely going to bounce here. It's going to find support at 37 and then come back up. So I was like, well, I'm going to add on the resumption, to bring my average down some more. So we'll see what it does here. Resumption in about 3-4 seconds. 637 going down. Okay, resumed at 624 from 637. So it resumed a little bit lower. So I'm like, okay, well, this might be I wanted it to dip down to 6 so I can add down at 6. But it just seemed like it was going to turn around. So I ended up adding there at 30, for the move back up. Came up to 35, 33, struggling here. If I would have added without, without having already an existing position, I would have stopped out. I would have been like, you know what, this is not working, I'm going to stop out. But I was already in it. So there you can see that it popped up to 35, came down back to 30 support. It broke support, came down to 615. It broke support and it flushed 15 cents. And I was like, okay, well, honestly, I mean, I was afraid it was going to break 6 and then, possible halt going back down. So I ended up stopping out at 618. I could have gave it a little bit more room, but I was just like, my mind was just blocked already. So there's a bid at 610. So 618, 620, if I would have held and sold at 6, that's an extra 20 cents. They could have easily came lower. So there, that 610 support got taken out. and now it's at another bid support at 610, popping back up here at 630, 628. It wants to break 630. Wants to break 630. It's having a hard time there. But if it breaks 620, 615, we're going to see 6, and we do. We break 620, and we see 604, 601, 6. Okay, so that's, I mean, it's weak, you know. This bid does come up here at 96, but it's breaking the whole dollar. You know, and you get a lot of selling here, a lot of green, a lot of red selling. So it's definitely just, I mean, everything about it is screaming weakness. But it finds support at $6. It finds support at $6, and this thing ends up coming back all the way back up. I mean, it comes all the way back up to 850. So, uh, yeah, those are just, I guess what I can get out of this is, and this is one of my rules, not to panic sell. And I feel like I didn't. I feel like I gave it room to move around, but it just would not find support. And that's one thing about these stocks, that they haven't been finding support. They've been just dropping. You know, that big drop, you know, from 7 down to 665, 660, 650, you know, 50-cent drop in a matter of seconds. So then after 8:45, after 9 o'clock, at around 9:10, 9:15, that's whenever we had some very nice clean moves on this stock, on MICT. I was really hesitant on jumping in on any of them because I was like, I'm already down. I don't want to make the position any worse. I don't want to make the day any worse and have to work harder to, you know, get back up on the month. Right now, I believe I'm red, which I'm not seeing. I don't look to see where I'm at on the day or on the month because I feel like it messes with me with my trading. So I just wait to the end of the month. But I do believe I'm red on the month just because of that first position at the beginning of the month where it put me down, and then I was working my way back up, almost, you know, caught up, and then this little small setback pushed me back, maybe back to where I was originally red on my position on the month. So now I have to work to get back up. You know, if I can end the month with a small loss, my goal now is not necessarily to have a green month. It's just to minimize the loss. You know, have a small red month. Small red months are okay. You know, so it's not that hard to dig out of it. So that's my goal. One thing I am keeping in mind is maybe not trading, maybe not taking any more trades the first 30 minutes of the market. You know, after the market opens, just wait those 30 minutes, and then after that, you know, maybe start taking trades around after the first 30 minutes are up, because that's whenever, as you can see here, you know, this is kind of where we start getting this nice curl back up. Here we had this up, down, and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then here we kind of just, okay, so we're starting to see nice little patterns here. Here we got this little micro pullback here at well, actually it's a little bull flag. 745, you know, you jump in here, boom, make a nice move higher up to 770, micro pullback here from 770 up to 833, and you know, and this is a false break right here, as you can see here. 845 down to 763. This is a nasty candle. This stock had those nasty drops. I mean, I'm talking about nasty, where you know, you would think they're fixing to pump up, but they just, you know, flush. They come down hard, like on this candle, from 778 down to 718. You know, that's nasty stuff. But we did have some pretty clean entries after the first 30 minutes were up. So that's just one thing we'll keep in mind of, at least for the rest of this week. We won't trade anymore the first 30 minutes. We'll just wait after the 30 minutes, and we'll see how that goes. That's what, you know, this is just a minor setback. Uh, it's a lesson learned, you know. So gap and goes aren't working. VWAP breaks aren't working. Halt resumptions aren't working. The only thing that I think we can keep an eye on is anything after 9 o'clock is whenever the action starts getting a little bit cleaner. So we'll just do that. Wait till 9 and then, potentially start trading then if opportunities present itself. If not, we'll just do it as it is.